Now that we've completed the first sub-session of sales and operations planning and some of the basic methods that can be included in that, we'll now move on to master production scheduling. So what is master production scheduling? Also referred to as MPS. Master production scheduling is an indicator of what, when, and how many items to produce within the manufacturing process. This often includes the creation of daily production schedules, staff scheduling, and the evaluation of alternative schedules, information processing, all while optimizing capacity to make demand flow smoother and keep lead times low. Easier said than done. So the initial step with MPS is to forecast demand. As mentioned previously, this has been covered by Chris in session 2. If you require another in-depth review of how to forecast demand, please rewatch Chris's explanation. As with most decisions, production options are abundant and can be analyzed in a number of ways. A single good or product has numerous production methods. Although many production methods could easily be ruled out based on the demands of your customer segment, there are unending ways you could choose to produce your product. Take whiskey, for example. Different varieties of whiskey will use different base ingredients depending on whether the whiskey is a bourbon, scotch, rye, or other. Once a style is chosen, let's say bourbon, the way in which the whiskey is produced and the time it takes to produce can vary significantly. Jefferson bourbon, because my name is Jefferson, I've chosen simply because it's a specialty bourbon that is aged in casks, placed on ships, and left at sea for a designated period of time. The allure of this aging process is that the waves in the ocean assist in the mixing and turning and the constant movement and assist in the flavor profile of this type of bourbon. So this is where the marketing and sales team have perfected that market segment. This method may be considered inefficient by some, but Jefferson Bourbon has found a nice market segment that holds demand for their product steady. Relating this to more of a manufacturing process, different equipment may exist that complete the same task or function. However, one may take longer or may be prone to high maintenance requirements, resulting in long downtimes. Choose options most effectively using resources. One of the core components in deciding what production method to use is the effective use of resources. Resources are everything you need to produce your product. Some production options may consume more resources or may not effectively utilize some of the resources, which increases the overall cost of production, which will push your product out of the market based on cost, or you simply will take reduced profit. Neither outcome is desirable. Self-assessment are quick visual or simplistic data checks to confirm that your production choice is on the right track. Self-assessments are quick, efficient confirmations. However, performance should be monitored ongoing. So monitoring. This is a more in-depth way to track the success of your production choice. Monitoring involves a defined process that collects, tracks, and reports the successes, failures, and/or hiccups in a chosen production method. This process can be human managed or technologically automated and can be implemented to maintain all of these. Self-assessments and monitoring are important but useless if you do not adjust your production methods when either method recognizes an inefficiency. Adjustments are essential for ongoing success. Understanding your production requirement is imperative to deliver the right product at the right time to the right customer. Understanding your customer segment and the quality they demand will ensure your organization maintains a standard of production that aligns with your customer base. Working with your supply hierarchy, you will need to continually adjust your manufacturing capacity to align with demand. Additionally, all manufacturing or production systems have limitations. Accepting this up front will create a lot less headaches and frustrations down the road. Knowing these limitations at the outset will help prevent your organization from overpromising and underproducing. I cannot stress enough supplier relationship. Supplier relationship and reliability are one of the keys to closing the gap that we talked about earlier between supply and demand. This is the great divide. Reliable suppliers can make or break your relevance in a market that increasingly demands instant gratification and speed. Your chosen suppliers must be able to provide materials within planned lead times. Setting up metrics for supply reliability is important, as developing metric thresholds can help a company be more proactive in supply replacement. Ideally, we won't ever want to have to replace a supplier. However, these thresholds allow us to recognize when suppliers aren't meeting those demands. These thresholds should be communicated to your preferred suppliers so they understand what your expectations are. Stabilizing customer demand rests on your demand hierarchy. Marketing and sales must work collaboratively to manage customer demand by various methods that could include increasing or decreasing marketing spends to increase or decrease demand. Stabilizing customer demand assists in preventing underutilization or overcapacity of production facilities. This is important to manage customer expectations. Bills of material, also known as product structure, is a list of the raw materials, sub-assemblies, intermediate assemblies, subcomponents, parts, and the quantities of each needed to manufacture your end product. Obviously, based on your operations and the product you're developing, these will change significantly. If bills of material become outdated and do not accurately match the material needs of your product, you will create havoc within your production system, resulting in incomplete product, potential inventory count issues, potential product failures, among many other serious complications that could be dangerous and costly. Routing refers to the sequence of steps or designated process flow required to produce or manufacture a product. Our in-depth review of business process mapping earlier assists in the setting out of accurate routings. Additionally, if your organization is following the cyclical steps in process management, your organization should be continually revisiting processes to optimize and maintain these accuracies. Resource allocation modeling, also known as RAM, is a method for determining where resources should be allocated within your organization. Often this model includes financial resources, technological resources, and human resources. With a macro approach to the entire business, RAM can be adjusted also down to a more micro level to focus specifically on individual production processes. Now that we've explored MPS, we must build upon this method with a system called material requirement planning.